Over a dozen wins and 3 championships are the accolades for a driver who is absolutely sensational in the western part of Pennsylvania. That driver is AJ Flick from Appollo, PA, and we're here to talk to him about his start in racing, his remarkable 2023 campaign, and more. That's coming up next on the Dave's Home Supply Getting Up to Speed podcast after these messages. Dave's Home Supply specializes in cabinets, flooring, and countertops. Visit their website at daveshomesupply.com to look at products, services, financing, and even a free estimate. Are you looking for bookkeeping, payroll, or income tax services? Then check out the folks at For You Simple Bookkeeping. They are a licensed tax preparer throughout the entire United States. For more information, click on the link in the description. Well, joining me on the Dave's Home Supply Getting Up to Speed podcast is a gentleman from Apollo, Pennsylvania, who had quite the season with several championships to his credit, AJ Flick. And AJ, great to have you on the program.
Yeah, it's awesome to be here, Ben. Thanks for reaching out and giving me an invitation.
Well, to say that this year was successful is definitely an understatement. 15 victories and 3 championships to your credit. The Western Pennsylvania Speedweek title going to you, along with the Tri-City Raceway Park Championship for the 410s and Lernerville Speedway. Overall, just a great year.
Yeah, I was extremely happy with it. We kind of broke out last year, 2022. We got 13 wins. We won the same titles, and we won the Western PA Speedweek title again. But I really, if you would have asked me at the beginning of 2023 what would make this year successful, I would have been happy with another 5 wins and just being competitive for these titles. You know, we were always going to work hard, but to duplicate that amount of success year after year is difficult to achieve.
8 wins at Lernerville Speedway this year, just simply incredible. What would you credit to that success? Is it just all the stars aligning, or is it stuff that you guys discovered last year that is just carried on and just riding the tide?
Well, last year the tires were different. This year they changed them. We kind of started off out of the gate pretty quick with the new tires. We just wanted to get ourselves on those and see if we could get some sort of advantage, or at least figure out what the disadvantages were before we had to transition over to those tires full time. So, I mean, we won our first night out with them, opening night at Lernerville. Felt pretty comfortable. I think they fit my driving style a little bit more. But ultimately, I think we just were able to fill the car pretty well. We were able to make consistent changes. It just seemed like we were more maneuverable, I think, than most, especially in this area. And I think it just translated into quite a lot of success for us.
Well, and speaking of maneuvering and moving around, you guys are one of those teams when people think, oh, he's a guy from Pennsylvania, and I said the same thing with Cy Lynch about a month ago, is Apollo, Pennsylvania isn't Pennsylvania posse. It's its own distinctive region with a lot of tough drivers that have came out of that. And for you specifically, you've floated into central Pennsylvania a lot over the years and have ran there.
Yeah, there's quite a few people that ask why I go. Their words are "go cherry pick at Lernerville," but they don't realize that's my home track. I mean, it's 30 minutes away from me. We're basically just a little bit northeast of Pittsburgh here. So anytime that I have to get to Port Royal, or we've been to Williams Grove 3 or 4 times, and Pass Valley, places like that, when they have some of the West or Central PA Speedweek shows, I mean, that's 3 to 4 hours of driving for me. And so that's kind of what's off the porch for us. The tracks are pretty well maintained. The facilities are excellent. So we typically tend to go east when we have Fridays, Saturdays, or Sundays off. And obviously the competition's great too. So it's awesome to get out, try and run against people that you know are absolutely better than you are, and just see how you can improve in any way, shape, or form.
Well, and there's a pretty good, strong contingent of drivers that are on the front porch for you. With, yourself, Cy Lynch, the Mattises. There's a lot of talent that has been churned out of Western Pennsylvania, and for those that aren't familiar, it's basically the gateway into Eastern Ohio, where a lot of you guys race at Sharon Speedway, and they had a lot of cool shows this year on Wednesday nights, which was a great option for some of you guys.
Yeah, Sharon's a great track. I was disappointed that they got rid of some of their 410 sprint car shows to put in more modified stuff. I know the modified guys were probably happy, so I guess it's just biased who you ask. But Sharon's one of my favorite racetracks to get to. I was happy they tried to supplement the schedule somewhat with the Wednesday programs. A little disappointed we couldn't get there more on Saturdays and stuff. I think they only had 3 or 4 Saturday shows, but they kept the Outlaw shows, so we were still able to get to both of those. The Speedweek show, I think we raced the Speedweek show this year. I honestly don't remember. We skipped it one year because of rain, but we've always had pretty decent success there. This was probably the worst year I've had at Sharon in quite a while. I just couldn't stay up front. We couldn't figure out the track on these new tires, just how slick it got and how little banking it has. So those are all things we have to work for. But there was a few things we figured out at Lernerville at the end of the year that I think could help us when we get back to Sharon. But it's just we ran out of time, and I'll have to store that in the notebook until May comes.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's only, like you said, limited amount of ability or limited amount of opportunities to race at that place. But something notable, you noticed, you mentioned the banking, and something that I noticed is it looks and kind of races similar to like some tracks that you would see like on Clay-Per-View in Australia or even in New Zealand, sort of.
Yeah, I'm actually watching some Sprint Car Hub right now as we're talking on the phone here, and they just opened a new track down there. A lot of those tracks definitely seem to be a little bit tighter, flatter. I do think the surface that Sharon has is a lot better. It rarely ever abuses tires, but they're using, from what I understand, it's that Port Royal clay, and Mercer started using a little bit more of it. Lernerville's always had pretty good clay. So, I mean, of all the complaints that some people might have about the Western PA area, one positive is that very rarely do these tracks ever hurt tires. And Mercer was pretty rough on tires last year, cutting them down a bunch, but it seems like they got their issues figured out some this year. And I'm hoping that they can probably add a little bit more clay this offseason to help continue to improve that area. But Lernerville, Mercer, Sharon, even PPMS down here, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway was pretty good on tires this year too. So Tri-City is probably the only one that might be a little bit rough, but we can still get through with a batch of used tires up there, where I know a lot of the Ohio tracks and even some of the Central PA tracks, just because of the speed, you pretty much have to put on a new set every night or you're not going to be able to compete.
Well, that's important because, racing is about economics when it comes down to at least operating a race team. And when all the money's being put into supplying for tires, and with all the wild and craziness of tire shortages and all that wild and crazy stuff, you definitely want to get as much use out of them as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a shame. I wish we could travel more. I wish we could try and race against Outlaws and All-Stars and High Limit way more than we do. I think it would make us a better team and a better driver personally. But, I mean, you just can't run yourself broke doing this. I'd rather be in the sport for a long time than just a couple years. I'd rather have the longevity to my name, I guess, more than just saying that I ran at Eldora for the million, stuff like that. I think has the potential to come around again. But if you blow your money doing stupid stuff in racing and costing yourself equipment, blowing up motors and wasting tires, and I mean, diesel's up, toll road costs are up, hotels are expensive anymore. So, I mean, you just have to be intelligent with what you do. If you're not, you'll run yourself broke pretty quick.
No doubt. And something notable that you were able to accomplish this year, going back to your successes, is Memorial Day weekend. You won the opener at Lernerville on April 21st, but Memorial Day weekend, 3 races, 3 different racetracks, Lernerville, PPMS, the big, what is that, a 5/8 mile racetrack pretty much, and then Tri-City. You won all 3 races in that single weekend.
Yeah, we had never swept the weekend before. We probably won, I know we won a Friday and a Saturday show before, but we either never raced or never got to complete the weekend with a win at Tri-City. And the first time I did it was last year, and I think we might have done it again once or twice this year too. I know we did it the Memorial Day weekend that you mentioned, because I remember the following week was actually when we started Western PA Speedweek, and we won another 2 or 3 shows during that as well. So those are just some tracks that we got around pretty good. I didn't have any wins at Pittsburgh until this season. We hadn't raced there much, quite honestly. I don't think we've been to Pittsburgh since at least 2018, which we have a lot more experience from Port Royal since that time. And When we finally unloaded there at Pittsburgh again, with this new ownership group and new speedway surface, everything just seems a little bit better maintained. We just unloaded much quicker, and we got the worst pill draw, I think, in the feature, 5 out of 5 after running the dash, and we ended up grabbing the lead within 2 or 3 laps and just checked out from there. So it was definitely comfortable. When the car's handling really good on the half-mile tracks, you really don't have to work too hard, and it was just fun to get to a new speedway, grab another win, and just check something else off our list.
Well, on that track, some of the footage that I've seen, and even watching some of the stuff at Western Pennsylvania Speedweek, it looks like it carries so much speed. Like it's like Port Royal's fast, and half-mile tracks are fast. It's got like kind of some Knoxville speed, if I guess if you were to say something, and it's slightly bigger than a half-mile, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big half mile for sure, however you want to grade that. I think, truthfully, that PPMS, when prepared properly, is probably the quickest racetrack in the world. Jack Soderman Jr. was clocked down there at an average speed of like 153 mile an hour, which is just absolutely insane. That's faster average speed than anything you'd find at Eldora. The track record, I think, was at Rolling Wheels for a while, and it was faster than that because I think Rolling Wheels was only like 145 or 148. So when it's prepared properly, you can absolutely rip around that place. But the crazy part about it is it's so big and it's so wide that you really don't feel like you're carrying much speed at all. When I race Path Valley, which is one of my favorite tracks to get to, Path Valley feels like you're hauling the mail, because it's just so small, it's so tight, everything happens so quick, and even though you're not, it feels like you're going 30, 40 mile an hour quicker at a place like Path Valley than you are at PPMS.
Wow. Yeah, no, I know that, Rolling Wheels, I think was it Paul McMahon had that time, and 153 miles an hour average speed. That's not straightaway speed. That's just wild to wrap my head around.
Yeah, I mean, the car's just so straight at Pittsburgh. It never gets sideways. It's basically just dead straight the entire time if you have your car set up right and just keep a little bit of left steering wheel in it to get it around the corner. If you got a good motor, you'll haul around there for sure. That's
a place I definitely want to get to, and it's really cool that you mentioned Western Pennsylvania Speedweek. Because that has been brought back in the last couple of years. That was something that was in the 90s, and I think in the early 2000s they even had it, but it seems like there's a lot of great positive energy behind it to give you guys in Western Pennsylvania an opportunity to race at a lot of places in a short amount of time.
Yeah, we've had it for 3 years now. The gentleman that has worked his butt off to put it all back together, Tyler Beichner, or Beichner, apologize I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's done a phenomenal job acquiring sponsors, getting the speedways together, completely organizing the event, getting everybody paid. We've never had an issue from anything he's done at getting this Western PA Speedweek established. And we've had it each of the past 3 years now. Unfortunately, the first 2 years, 2021, 2022, the Wednesday and Thursday programs rained out. We were second in every single 2021 event to Ryan Smith until I wrecked at Tri-City. But Ryan won every single event it might have been, or he was second in the third event. He was able to secure the title pretty good. He's a good friend of mine, heck of a good race car driver, but I knew he was going to be the one we had to beat when we came back around for the 2022 hosting of Western PA Speed Week, and we were very fortunate to go out there. We won all 3 races. Ryan was second in all of them, so he was right on my tail for the Speed Week title, but him and I, we were both checked out from everybody else in the field, and this year was really hot. We got all 5 events in, which was phenomenal, and we had really good average finishes through all of them. We were able to secure our second Western PA Speed Week title, which was really cool. Something that you knew about it growing up, but I mean it's tough to revive things like that anymore. So we didn't think we'd ever have a shot at winning something like that, but it's pretty cool that forever and ever our names are at least etched in the history books 1 or 2 times for a Speed Week title.
Yeah, and if I recall my history, Dale Blaney was kind of the man of that event, especially in the 90s. And I think it was in the Hughes 94 car when he was driving.
Yeah, I don't remember all the details about it, but at some point, the Western PA Speedweek events were all-star sanctioned. So I remember hearing names like Kenny Jacobs winning those races, Tim Schaefer, Dale Blaney won it quite a few times, and I think Dale won the most races one time. It was either 3 or 4. He didn't win the 5th one, so he didn't sweep the whole week. Like I did. I'm the only one that has swept the whole week, but I only won 3, and I think Dale probably has more throughout one week than what I have. So I guess next year we'll just have to try and make it a goal to win all 5.
There you go. And racing 5 races at 5 distinct racetracks, that really, I think, benefits everybody that is a part of it. And it's understandable that not everybody can make all 5, but the ones that do, it kind of obviously gets your notebook flowing in a good direction, gets seat time, which is good, and also, versatility just all over the place.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, what's so phenomenal about the entire event is that we can go to all these racetracks that are less than 2 hours away from our house, every single one of them. So every single night we're back home sleeping in our own beds, which is extremely convenient. All my crew guys, they work normal jobs the same way everybody else does. So it's nice that we can run for that much money over the course of 5 days. Everybody can still get up, get to work the next day. We spend a lot of our time prepping that night from the previous race. So maybe get to bed 2, 3 o'clock. So, I mean, we're definitely down on sleep, but we wouldn't be able to compete in a week like this if it wasn't for the locality and just the logistics, everything being so close together. So it's extremely fortunate. Even the guys that decide to come in from out of town, if they can find a hotel that's centralized to most of this area, their travel expenses are extremely limited. And most of Western PA, even like some of Central PA and Ohio, we still rely a lot on fill draws and stuff for normal weekly programs. So when we come to Western PA Speed Week, we get to qualify, which kind of helps get you out of some of those heat race messes and stuff and keeps you up front as long as you stay fast.
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean. Locality is key. We have a couple of speed weeks up here, and for the most part, it's in my neck of the woods to where it's a home game, and I'm sleeping in my own bed. But then there's times where, you're on the road for basically a week, and boy, does it make a difference sometimes. So,
yeah, I mean, we just finished our season down here after the Lernerville Steel City Stampede, and I mean, take a couple of days off, keep cleaning some things up, but it's pretty quick to realize just how much a race season will zap the energy out of you. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people don't necessarily always want to admit it, but trust me, I love racing as much as the next guy, but 50, 55, 60 some shows for our team with everybody that still continues to work. It can definitely be difficult. It's a grind to try and keep up with the teams that are better than you, that race a heck of a lot more than you and have a heck of a lot more backing than you. But it's extremely rewarding when you can put together good runs. So it's worth it. Sometimes we need a break. I'll probably be ready to go here by the end of November into December. So it'll make a couple long winter months until we get back going again in March next year. But yeah, definitely need a break. Let everybody calm down, catch your breath, get back in shape, and just try and eat some better food than constantly French fries at the racetrack.
For sure. Tell me, how did this all start for you? How did racing, how did you get started racing as a driver? Was it something that your family introduced to you?
Yeah, my grandfather raced back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and basically from there it was just family tradition. So I grew up watching my father race all the time. He ran asphalt, Motordrome, Jennerstown, asphalt modified, had a ton of success there. He won a Lernerville track title in big block modifieds back in 1994. Then he went to the asphalt stint, had a lot of success down there, came back, had some more success running for Lawn and Pam Baker and big block modifieds. And as we got through the mid-2000s towards 2010 or so, I was still running karts. He was still running big blocks, and we kind of transitioned and built a street stock from there. Had my first race and win at Lernerville in 2010 in the street stock division. Ran there for 11, 12, and 13. And then in 2014, we had talked about moving up a division, and obviously with him having his modified background, he wanted to go modifieds. I wanted to go late model racing, but neither one of us wanted to do the other. So we just basically compromised and ended up getting a sprint car, and that's how it went.
Nice. And you've been going ever since.
Yeah, for sure. I've been in a big block modified, and I've tested a late model, and I can tell you right now, there is absolutely nothing in the world that compares to a sprint car.
Sure.
I mean, the amount of horsepower they have, how quick they can accelerate, the way they can carry the wheels. There's nothing that responds like a sprint car. I am 100% happy the decision and the route we ended up taking, and trust me, I'll never regret that.
Well, and what's the story behind your number? Is that a family kind of deal, or is that something of your own that you created?
Yeah, when my grandfather started his team with a friend, there was two people working on the car. Each had two kids, so they just picked the number 2. And my father took it, and obviously that's the number I spent most of my time watching too. So for some reason, I was obsessed with the number 2, and we ended up keeping it.
Nice. And then for you yourself, like, off season's coming up when you're not working on race cars or dreaming and thinking about racing. What are some things you like to do outside of the shop or outside of the transport?
Basically hockey and hockey only. I'll play hockey as much as I can throughout the winter here, and I'll go to as many Penguin games as I possibly can. So I just watched them lose 4-1 of the Dallas Stars last night, and I'm not going to lie, it kind of pisses me off. So excuse my language, but it's just something I'm passionate about, and I enjoy watching them. I enjoy analyzing the sport. I enjoy playing the sport. A lot of my friends from high school that I really don't see much anymore because everybody's got their own families, their own children. They've gone their own separate ways. So I don't get to see them much, but hockey always brings us back together. We'll always get a team together in the off season, play down in Murraysville, which is pretty close to my house down here, and basically just reminisce, and we'll try and win as many championships as we can throughout the 3-4 month off season we have, and then we'll go our own separate ways again come March or April. But it's always a good time. Helps keep everybody in shape, which is tough to do working 9 to 5s behind a desk anymore, but it's all part of the gig, and just happy that I do enjoy things outside of racing as well.
Yeah. I think it's nice to have a healthy balance and everything, and it's really cool that you mentioned hockey because Johnny Gibson, voice of the World of Outlaws, he's a huge Pittsburgh Penguins fan. He's actually kind of from your neck of the woods, from Mariana, Pennsylvania.
Yep. Anytime I cross Johnny's path, we talk about the Penguins. It hasn't been very pleasant over the past couple of years though, since they won their titles in 15-16 and 16-17. But like we said, it's all part of the gig. There's a lot of the league in the NHL that's younger and faster right now, so I think there's some changes to be made. But we still have the talent on the Pittsburgh Penguins roster, so we'll see if they can put it together.
Well, and I don't know if Johnny's working on Chase Rodman, but I know Chase is becoming quickly a huge hockey fan, and he doesn't quite have a team yet. I mean, he's got some teams that he likes, but not a dedicated team. So maybe you and him can convert him to the Penguins' faith.
There's an outlaw employee. His name's Anthony Carini, a good friend of mine. Okay. He's been extremely respectful. He's been extremely respectful for us, or to me, for quite a long time since we got into the sport in 2014. And I was friends with him. He's a San Jose Sharks fan. So I think he was actually able to go to some of the San Jose Shark games while they were playing the Pens for the Stanley Cup final. Pens ended up winning in 6 games. So I got to hold that one above him for a little bit, but I don't harass him too much.
Yeah, no. It's really cool, like, when I hear stories like that because, being from the West Coast, obviously now the Seattle Kraken are in town, and that's sort of like the regional team, but, it's just the Vancouver Canucks, really, or San Jose Sharks or the Los Angeles Kings, and as far as hockey, that's really it. Like in Washington, the state above me, it's huge because they got the Western Hockey League. Portland Winterhawks, they have a team. But like I live a few hours south of Portland, but, I mean, I want to think it's really one of the fastest growing sports as far as people enjoying it and watching it, in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I 100% believe that it's probably the most exciting sport that requires the most talent, maybe besides just hitting a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from 40 feet away.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't think these athletes get the respect they deserve. They play with a toughness that isn't quite seen in any other sport. They travel faster, they hit harder than anything in the NFL, and I mean, imagine as a Dano Chara 108 mile an hour slap shot coming at you, and these guys jump in front of a 1 pound puck to try and stop it. So, I mean, it's just pure insanity. I think it's ridiculously exciting, and they do it 82 times a year.
Yeah. I know that there's been, my mentor, Fred Renner Jr., he's did a lot of stuff in hockey with the Vancouver Giants, Western Hockey League. And, there's some other people that I know that are very passionate about it or are inspired by hockey announcer Johnny Gibson being one of them. And
yep.
It's one thing that I don't think I could really do it just because you got line changes going on in the middle of the game, and there's a lot to be watching, and power plays and penalty box times. There's a lot going on. It's not just like these are the set players and they'll sub out at every whistle.
And just imagine the ice skating, how good those guys are on those blades on that ice. If you take anybody from any other sport and try and put them on ice skates, they'll probably fall over.
Yeah, look like a newborn baby giraffe.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, AJ, it's been great to connect with you, great to get to know you and hear all these wonderful stories. For people that want to know about 2024 and what's on the table for you guys there, I guess, first of all, is there a plan, and what's the best way for people to get information of what's upcoming for your team?
Well, the best way to get any information is just my website, ajflickracing.com, or just follow me on all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it may be. Unfortunately, I think right now we're in the same position that most teams are. With this high-limit all-star deal going through, there's really no schedules provided yet. I think a lot of this information will come out over the next month and a half until the December PRI show in Indianapolis. But ultimately, until we know what's even available for us to race, I don't think we can really make any decisions on what we're going to do or where we're going to go. So it's a lot of up in the air. I wish I could tell people, because I even have my sponsors that are asking me. Mm-hmm. But right now it's just kind of limited. So pretty much all I can commit to right now is just what's a guarantee, and that's going to be racing at Lernerville on Fridays. Port Royal is going to have quite an extensive schedule. The Greg Hodnett races, the Memorial Day weekend races, the Tuscarora 50, things like that. So we always enjoy getting to those shows, as long as the rain doesn't cost a full weekend like what it did this past year. And I don't know. We'll see what Sharon does with their schedule. We'll see if they bring back any more Saturday shows, or if they keep their schedule kind of standard and they run Wednesday shows. I don't know what Tyler is going to do with the Western PA Speedweek. I hope he continues that, but I do know it's quite a lot of work. So yeah, I mean, I wish I could help more, but there's just too much information that's up in the air right now, and I just need things to kind of settle down for a little bit before I can even put together my schedule. But once I do, I'll get it up on the website, and if anybody has any questions, they can just reach out. I'm always open and honest about what we're going to do.
For sure. And is there apparel that folks that can purchase to help support your race team as well on those aforementioned sites and social media pages? Yeah,
I appreciate you asking. There's a gear page, merchandise page on our ajflickracing.com website. So we've been selling a lot here recently. I've been getting everything out the door. As soon as I hang up with you here, I got to rush to the post office and get a couple more orders out. So we've been extremely grateful. We have a heck of a lot of great fans, and it means a lot. When I was getting into racing, I always wanted to try and make everybody happy. And you quickly find out that there's a lot of people that either don't like you or don't like winners. And I mean, some of the best people I've ever met in the sport, they still have haters and fans that boo them. So it's just part of the gig. We've been extremely fortunate to have the fans that we do have that continue to support us. It's extremely special for me to have success and get out of a race car and see how happy you can make some of the fans, some of the kids, sign the autographs. It's not something that I really anticipated I would be doing as a kid, I was growing up watching these people, and I never really thought that I would have the opportunity to kind of replicate what they do, and how I looked up to other drivers like Brian Burkhoff or Danny Lasowski, people like that, Jimmy Johnson, who I met as well. So it's a really cool experience, and all these people that you're signing autographs for, they could race against you someday too. So it's just cool to see those faces and watch how they grow, and hopefully get back in the sport that means so much to you.
And obviously sponsorship's a big deal, right? It funds the whole program. Who are some of the folks that you'd like to thank, or even individual people that have hopped on board to make sure that you're able to race so much?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I got to start with my family. Even though they don't provide me money, they provide me love, support, and help. And my mother has sacrificed so much to be a part of this sport for many, many years, along with my father. And my dad has a ton of racing experience behind him that he has used to help us grow our sprint car program. He doesn't have any sprint car experience, but it's been fun to learn alongside him. And my girlfriend, Ashley, she has taken this sport by storm as well. She grew up in it, so she knew what she was hopping into. And it's just, no matter how much money you have, if you don't have a support system behind you, you're going to struggle. So it means a lot that all those guys continue to support me, and along with the sponsors that do help us at the racetrack and the garage, Ferguson Heating and Air Conditioning, Fence by Maintenance Service, Red Robin Gourmet Burgers. The actual first Red Robin location was out in your area, out in Washington. So kind of full circle there.
Sure.
If you guys, if there's any listeners here that get out to Pennsylvania and they want to stop at any of these locations and sponsors to help us out, we're more than welcome.
Awesome. That's wonderful, and I can't wait to see what 2024 brings, and we'll definitely be staying in touch, and may drop you a call next spring, summer, or fall.
Yeah, absolutely. If you need a show filler, just let me know.
Well, that is going to do it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and hit the like and subscribe button on whatever platform you found this interview at. It really helps us grow the channel, and we greatly appreciate it. In the meantime, we'll be back with more content and interviews in the future. Be sure and have a great evening or a great rest of your day, whatever time you're listening.